Here is a draft of the middle mile, and it's a little hard to see on your screen. I can zoom in, but it gets blurry. In the middle mile, as that comments, there's open comments with regard to the middle mile in the CPUC proceeding, but it's highway routes from the Sonoma County line on Highway 1 up to Cleone, and that's Highway 1. Highway 128, the entirety of 128 will be part of the middle mile, and also from the Sonoma County line on Highway 101 from Sonoma County to Humboldt County is included, with additions to Covelo on Route 162 and some other routes. Recently, the state has announced the initial projects of the middle mile, and we were a little disappointed that Mendocino County is not included. And in fact, the Assembly District 2 and Senate District 2 are largely not included. If you zoom in, some mileage on Highway 20 near the Lake County border will be part of the initial projects. But again, those are just the initial projects, and the full route is as I demonstrated. So on this next slide, I did an overlay of what those initial projects look like relative to the larger build. And here is a very blurry close-up of the same. Both Senator McGuire and Assemblymember Wood are on the Middle Mile Advisory Committee, and which is good. There are only 4 elected representatives on that board. The other 5 members are the head of the California Public Utilities Commission, the two others, the office, the accounting office, and I wish I had the full list, which was introduced during the previous meeting. There's a 9-member board that manages the middle mile, and we do have representation of Assemblymember Wood and Senator McGuire to hear our concerns. As you all know, we are members of the North Bay North Coast Broadband Consortium, and through comments to the CPUC, the consortium made the request that the Highway 1 routes extend from Cleone to the Westport Union Landing, just as an addition, that we thought that they would be excluding the communities of Westport were those segments not also included. I'll pause for questions and comments because there is a lot to discuss and it's hard to tackle it all at once. So perhaps Supervisor Williams might have some comments, or anyone else, with regard to the middle mile. And he's trying.
And this particular,
you're barely coming through. Apologies, Supervisor Williams. So when he is able to comment, we'll get back to that. I will add that the middle mile is going to be open sourced middle mile, and there's $3.25 billion going to this larger build. And there is, I'll transition to the last mile. The last mile has designated, first of all, here are the actual routes of the middle mile. And I'm not sure whether you can see the highlighted in yellow. There are 272 or 273 miles of highway or state routes in Mendocino County that will be built out. Presumably that is, I think that there might be some lease agreements where existing fiber is. I did not do the calculations of the route miles. I mean, whether or not 101 from the Sonoma County border to the Humboldt border, plus all of the other segments indicated, comes to a number larger than 272. But I suspect that some of the mileage will will be leased from existing fiber on those routes. So they're not included in the build, but will be part of the open access middle mile. As you look at this list, I'll open it up to questions about those segments. More or less, this is.
Jeff,
go ahead.
I have a
Yes.
question. Is this appropriate now? Yeah, the map that you showed for the middle mile for Mendocino County is a disappointment. Maybe that's an understatement, but let's just go with that. Is there going to be a series? Are they going to kind of roll out a number of chapters of the development of the middle mile as they go along?
Absolutely.
Do they have a plan and a schedule to do that? Because if not,
they haven't revealed. They haven't revealed the larger plan. I think that they decided on these projects because they were there was no objection. They made the most sense for being the first projects of many. They can't dig everywhere all at once from the beginning. And these were non-confrontational, there was no question.
There was no objection
right.
from the incumbents, is what you're saying, by AT&T and Comcast and all those big telecoms.
No, I think that even internal to the CPUC and the other parties, the Department of Technology, they saw these as the most logical first steps, and that is all. They haven't revealed which ones are next in line, to my knowledge, but these ones were chosen. And some had to be chosen.
Okay. Did they confer with Mendocino County or the BAMC on this selection? Did we give them any input?
It's a public proceeding where the CPUC makes an announcement about what their design is and then provides like 60 days for reply comments. So they didn't approach the county specifically, but they put the drafts up and said, please comment on these, which we did.
And we did comment on them.
We did comment on them. Well, not with regard to which ones are in the initial plan, but with regard to the middle mile in Mendocino County, we made comments specifically to ask them to extend from Cleone to Westport Union Landing Beach. I mean, we have input, and that's the way input is given. Mike Nichols has his hand up.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I think, Jim, I can help you out a little bit here. The first map basically was based upon highway projects that Caltrans had on the books and ready to go. So those were dig-ready projects. The second rendition of maps will be out by the end of December. And we've been assured by both Assemblyman Wood and Senator McGuire that North Coast will be much better represented. They were quite upset that the largest unserved area in the state of California was underrepresented on the first round of mapping. So we should look forward to substantial improvements to the map affecting our area by the end of December.
Oh, great. Thanks, Mike.
Jeff, this is Ted.
Go ahead.
I apologize,
yes.
Everyone. I'm coming back from Monterey, and one of the topics was we had a live presentation from the CPUC commissioner, and one of the open questions has been how rural should be defined. Has a large funding impact for Mendocino County. The CPUC encouraged us to create the consortium, and of course we found the consortium members out of self-interest need to try to persuade differences in that rural definition. And it appears that the CPUC is favoring the OMB definition, which Mendocino County advocated for. We called a special meeting of the Board of Supervisors on this last Tuesday, and got approval to become part of the proceeding and submit our comments. By end of day, the comments were attached. All of this said, there's not enough money for the last mile for Mendocino. You know, whether we're talking 18 million or 82 million, it's far short from what it would take to provide fiber to the home. The only hope I see is that the state middle mile will provide enough backhaul for the cell carriers. Wireless is really the only answer that pencils out under the current funding scheme.
Thank you, Supervisor. And so, as Ted was describing, as applies to the last mile, the CPUC recognized that there was not a uniform definition of what a rural county is, and so again, a judge asked four questions of parties to the proceeding as to whether or not it would be advantageous to use the U.S. Census definition of rural counties, which only has 11 of the 58 counties of California as rural counties, or the Office of Management and Budget definition of rural counties, which has 21 rural counties, or the RCRC definition, and there are 37 member counties of rural counties representatives of California, or RCRC. And we had, when we were doing our calculations in the previous month, thought that we would be receiving somewhere in the neighborhood of $33 million under the 37. So SB 156 says $1 billion will be allocated to rural counties for the last mile build, and $1 billion will be allocated to urban counties for the last mile build. And if with the 58 counties, it behooves a group to have fewer slices of the pie. So under the model of 37 rural counties, Mendocino County was going to receive $33 million, whereas our consortium partners of Marin, Napa, and Sonoma were going to receive 13, 15, and $30 million respectively. The leaning of the judge at the CPUC is for the Office of Management and Budget definition, a modified version, which has 21 counties. And under that model, Mendocino County will be receiving 82 million, whereas Marin will only be receiving 10, Napa 10, and Sonoma 17. In the 11 rural counties model, Mendocino County would be a urban county because it defines urban or rural based on proximity to large cities. And I guess we're close enough to Santa Rosa and San Francisco that we, under the U.S. Census Bureau, would be a urban county. And so our 9,000 unserved households would be competing with the 90,000 unserved households in Orange County, you name it,